Hello, bedtime thinkers, and welcome to the Bedtime Discoveries, a place where science, curiosity, and calmness meet. Tonight, we will drift together into the quiet mystery of the deepest parts of the ocean, a world most of us will never see with our own eyes, yet one that holds secrets as vast as the night sky above us. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, and beneath its surface lies an entire universe of depth, silence, and wonder. Most of the ocean is still unexplored, hidden beneath crushing pressure, endless darkness, and unimaginable cold. Yet within these deep waters, life has found a way, glowing, adapting, and thriving where it seems impossible. Together, let us gently descend, step by step, from the surface, all the way to the very deepest trenches of Earth's oceans. Before we begin our descent, I invite you to share, softly in the comments, where in the world are you listening from tonight? And what time of day or night is it for you right now? It's always so calming to know where our little bedtime family is resting across the world. And if you enjoy this gentle journey through science, please like this video and subscribe to the Bedtime Discoveries so you never miss another quiet night of wonder and relaxation. Imagine standing at the edge of the sea. The waves ripple softly before you. Sunlight dances across the surface, scattering into golden sparkles that shift and move like drifting stars. This is a place where the ocean greets the sky, a threshold that feels familiar, calm, and inviting. The surface of the ocean is the most known to us, for it is the part we can see and touch. Here, ships glide across the water, fish dart beneath the waves, and humans swim, surf, and sail. The surface is like the skin of a vast, living world. But what we often forget is that this shimmering sheet of water is only the beginning. Beneath it lies layer upon layer of hidden realms, realms that grow darker, colder, and stranger the deeper we go. The topmost region of the sea is called the epipelagic zone, also known as the sunlight zone. It extends down to about 200 meters, or roughly 650 feet. This is where most of the ocean's visible life thrives. Colorful fish, playful dolphins, gentle sea turtles, and forests of coral reefs all depend on this gift of sunlight. Here, plants and algae perform photosynthesis, just as plants do on land. They transform light into energy, producing oxygen not only for sea, but for our entire planet. In fact, much of the oxygen you breathe right now may have been created in this very zone by tiny drifting organisms called phytoplankton. Though small, these microscopic beings are the quiet engines of Earth's life support system. When we float on the surface or swim just below it, we are in the warm, welcoming arms of the ocean's most visible world. Yet, as we prepare to descend, imagine leaving behind the shimmering light of the sun. Slowly, gently, as though falling into a dream, we begin our journey downward. As we drift deeper, the colors around us begin to change. The bright blues and greens of the shallow waters start to fade. Reds disappear first, then oranges and yellows, until only blue light remains. It is as though the ocean itself swallows the spectrum, one shade at a time, softening the world into twilight. We might imagine the descent as a kind of journey through time, for with every meter down, the ocean reveals layers of history. Ships lost to storms, resting silently on the seafloor, volcanic rocks shaped by ancient eruptions, and creatures whose ancestors have lived in these waters for millions of years. Sometimes, as divers or submarines sink below the surface, they describe a sense of leaving behind the familiar. The sounds of waves grow fainter, the brightness fades. It feels like stepping out of the world we know and into a new, secret one. Currents swirl here, carrying nutrients from one part of the sea to another. Plankton drifts slowly, feeding small fish, which in turn feed larger ones. It is a place of balance and quiet exchange to delicate web of life, invisible yet constant. And yet, with every passing meter, the sense of weight grows stronger. The pressure of the water above begins to build, gently but insistently. At just 10 meters deep, the pressure has already doubled compared to the surface. Imagine the hug of the ocean, becoming firmer, tighter, as though reminding us of its vastness. Still, life continues to thrive here. Schools of silvery fish shimmer in unison, moving as one body, flowing like liquid light. Predators glide silently, using stealth rather than speed. It is a world of quiet survival, wrapped in layers of water that grow ever more mysterious. And slowly, we realize the sunlight is not endless. At about 200 meters down, it finally begins to fade completely, and the ocean prepares to lead us into its next shadowed world. Below this point, the familiar warmth and color of the ocean give way to something entirely different. The water cools, the world darkens, and the surface feels impossibly far above. We are now on the threshold of the deep sea, a gateway into mystery. This transition from the sunlit surface to the twilight and then toward the abyss is like moving from day into eternal night. And yet it is not empty. Life continues to exist in ways that defy our imagination. Creatures with enormous eyes search for the last traces of light. Others create their own, glowing softly in the darkness, like floating lanterns in a dream. The descent from the surface to the abyss is not just a physical journey, but an emotional one. It reminds us of how small we are in the face of Earth's vastness, and yet how connected we remain to even the deepest corners of our world. As we leave behind the last glimmers of sunlight, we prepare to step into the true heart of the ocean, a place of silence, mystery, and breathtaking wonder. And this, dear listener, is the beginning of our voyage, from the shimmering surface, down into the abyss below. Imagine drifting deeper and deeper, leaving behind the sunlit waters of the surface. Up above, the golden ripples of sunlight are fading, becoming dimmer, softer, until at last they disappear almost entirely. You have now entered what scientists call the mesopelagic zone, but many know it by a far more enchanting name, the twilight zone. It begins around 200 meters below the surface and stretches down to about 1,000 meters. Here, the ocean is bathed in a ghostly half-light, a place where the sun is only a faint memory. In this strange, shadowed realm, the rules of life begin to change. Colors vanish. Sound travels differently, and creatures must adapt to survive in a world where energy is scarce and darkness grows ever deeper. The twilight zone is unlike anywhere else on Earth. It is not the bright, bustling surface waters, nor is it the silent blackness of the midnight depths. Instead, it is a shifting world between two extremes, a threshold, a liminal space, suspended between day and eternal night. And within this hushed corridor of the sea, secrets unfold. In the twilight zone, sunlight no longer provides enough energy for photosynthesis. Plants cannot live here, and so the base of the food chain must come from above. Tiny particles of dead plants, plankton, and organic matter drift downward from the surface like snow. Scientists call it marine snow, a gentle rain of nourishment that sustains the creatures of the deep. This rain of life falls endlessly, slow, delicate, and constant. Each flake of marine snow may be as small as a grain of dust, or as large as a feather drifting down. It is a reminder that even in places where sunlight cannot reach, the surface above still offers its quiet gift. Creatures of the twilight zone are unlike any you might imagine. Some have enormous eyes, adapted to catch the last glimmers of fading light. Others glow in the dark, producing their own gentle radiance. Bioluminescent fish flicker like stars, tiny points of blue and green scattered in the black water. One of the most remarkable inhabitants is the lanternfish. Though small, these fish are among the most abundant creatures on Earth. By day, they rest in the safety of the deep, but at night, they rise in vast swarms toward the surface, in what is known as the largest migration on the planet. Billions of lanternfish, rising and falling with the rhythm of day and night, moving like a living tide. Their journey links the deep to the surface, carrying nutrients upward and shaping the very balance of the ocean's life. Other strange creatures drift here too. Transparent squids with delicate, waving arms. Jellyfish with luminous bells, pulsing gently as they float. And the eerie bristlemouth fish, a tiny creature with a mouth full of needle-like teeth, said to be the most numerous vertebrates on the planet. Though unseen by human eyes, they fill these waters by the billions, thriving in the half-light of the mesopelagic zone. The twilight zone is alive with quiet motion. Schools of silver fish shimmer faintly, like liquid shadows. Predators wait silently, their movements careful and precise. Every creature here must conserve energy, for food is scarce, and survival demands patience. Though we know a little about the twilight zone, much of it still remains a mystery. In truth, we have explored only a fraction of these waters, and scientists believe countless unknown species are waiting to be discovered. What we do know is that the twilight zone plays a vital role in Earth's balance. The creatures that live here, especially the countless lanternfish and bristlemouths, form one of the largest carbon pumps on the planet. Each day, as they migrate toward the surface to feed and then sink back down to rest, they carry carbon with them. This daily rhythm helps regulate Earth's atmosphere and even our climate. The silent journeys of tiny fish, far below the waves, help sustain the balance of life above. There is also a dreamlike beauty to this place. Imagine floating in the water, surrounded by endless dimness. Now and then, a soft light flickers, perhaps a jellyfish or a squid releasing a glowing cloud. It feels like being surrounded by drifting stars in a silent sky that stretches endlessly in every direction. The twilight zone humbles us, reminding us that even between light and darkness, life finds a way. Here, survival is not about abundance, but about patience, adaptation, and quiet persistence. It is a realm of mystery, beauty, and fragile balance. And as we drift deeper, leaving behind this ghostly half-light, we begin to approach the next layer of the ocean, a place where no sunlight reaches at all. The midnight zone. Imagine yourself drifting downward deeper and deeper, leaving behind a faint, silvery glow of the twilight zone. The water grows darker, colder, heavier, until finally the last traces of sunlight vanish completely. You have entered the midnight zone. Scientists call it the bathypelagic zone, a place stretching from about 1,000 meters down to 4,000 meters below the surface. Here, sunlight never penetrates, not even the faintest shimmer. It is a world of eternal night, where the only light comes from the creatures that live here themselves. The pressure at these depths is immense, hundreds of times greater than at the surface. To us, it would feel crushing, unbearable. Yet for the life that calls this place home, it is perfectly ordinary. In this silent realm, Temperatures hover near freezing and food is scarce. Still, the midnight zone is far from empty. It is alive with strange, otherworldly creatures that seem to belong more to dreams or nightmares than to reality. The absence of sunlight here has shaped evolution in unusual ways. Many animals are ghostly pale or completely black, blending into the endless dark. Others, unable to rely on sight, use touch, vibration, or even light of their own making to survive. This is a place where Earth feels like another planet. A hidden world, silent, mysterious, and beautiful in its strangeness. The Midnight Zone is home to some of the most remarkable creatures on Earth. One of the most famous is the anglerfish, a predator with a wide, toothy mouth and a glowing lure that dangles from its head. In the endless darkness, this light acts as a trap, attracting smaller fish which swim too close and are swallowed in an instant. Though often depicted as terrifying, the anglerfish is only a few dozen centimeters long, but its strange appearance and its haunting glow have made it a symbol of the deep sea's eerie wonder. Then there are the gulper eels with enormous pouch-like mouths that can open wide enough to swallow prey almost as large as themselves. Their bodies are long and ribbon-like, drifting gracefully in the dark. When food is scarce, such an ability is a gift, allowing them to eat whatever chance provides. There are also vampire squids, not as frightening as their name suggests. With delicate webbing stretched between their arms and glowing organs along their bodies, they drift like ghostly umbrellas in the black water rather than hunting. They feed on the fallen marine snow, gathering tiny drifting particles to survive. And then there are the creatures of light, bioluminescent jellyfish, which shimmer softly with every pulse. Tiny fish that glow with blue or green dots along their sides. Even some shrimp and squid are capable of releasing flashes of light, as though the darkness itself is filled with sparks. Here, light is not just beauty, it is survival. Some animals use it to lure prey, others to find mates, and many more to confuse or frighten predators, vanishing into the dark with a flash of brilliance. The Midnight Zone is a living gallery of adaptations. Creatures shaped by a world without sun, yet filled with subtle beauty. In the Midnight Zone, silence reigns. There is no crashing of waves, no rush of currents, only the faintest whisper of drifting particles, and the gentle movement of distant creatures. It is a place of stillness, yet beneath that stillness, an entire ecosystem quietly unfolds. The animals here live slowly, conserving energy, waiting for rare meals, adapting to survive on little. Their lives are shaped by scarcity, yet they endure with elegance and patience. Humans have only rarely visited this world. Through deep-diving submersibles, we have caught glimpses of glowing fish, drifting jellies, and the strange forms of deep predators. But much remains unseen. The vastness of the Midnight Zone is beyond imagination, stretching across most of the world's oceans. It is one of the largest habitats on Earth, yet one of the least explored. To drift here is to feel small, but also deeply connected. For though hidden, the Midnight Zone is part of the ocean's vast heartbeat, part of the rhythm that sustains life across the planet. And as we continue our descent, the darkness deepens still. Beyond the Midnight Zone lies an even colder, quieter world, the abyssal zone, where the ocean floor begins to reveal itself in all its frozen silence. Imagine sinking deeper still, past the last drifting lights of the Midnight Zone. The water grows colder, the darkness heavier, the silence deeper than before, and then you arrive at a realm known as the Abyssal Zone. This is a part of the ocean that stretches from around 4,000 meters, down to 6,000 meters below the surface. It covers more than half of the ocean floor, making it one of the largest environments on Earth. And yet, it is a place few eyes have ever seen. The word abyssal comes from the Greek abysses, meaning bottomless, and to stand, or rather to drift. In this world feels exactly like that. Endless, immeasurable, eternal. The conditions here are extreme. The temperature hovers near freezing, just a few degrees above zero. The pressure is immense, thousands of times greater than at the surface. And the darkness is absolute. Not a single ray of sunlight ever reaches these depths. Yet, against all odds, the abyssal zone is not empty. It is alive in quiet, patient ways. Creatures have adapted to the silence, to the scarcity, and to the cold. They move slowly. They conserve energy, and they take nourishment from whatever the ocean delivers to them from above. The seafloor here is not flat and featureless, as one might imagine. It is a hidden landscape with plains, mountains, and trenches. Volcanic ridges rise from the floor, and vast expanses of soft sediment stretch farther than the eye could see. It is a world of both silence and grandeur. To imagine life in the abyssal zone is to imagine survival at the edge of possibility. Food is scarce, falling only occasionally from the upper layers of the sea. Most of what sustains life here comes in form of marine snow. Tiny flakes of dead plankton, microscopic shells, and organic matter drifting endlessly downward. On rare occasions, the carcass of a large animal, like a whale, will sink to the seafloor, creating what scientists call a whale fall. This sudden abundance becomes a feast for countless organisms, sometimes sustaining entire communities for decades. The creatures of the abyss have evolved in remarkable ways to endure their harsh home. Some, like the deep-sea cucumber, drift slowly across the seafloor, filtering particles from the sediment. Others, like the abyssal grenadier fish, patrol the plains, searching patiently for anything edible. One of the most haunting sights of the abyss is the sea spider. Not a true spider, but a delicate creature with long, spindly legs, moving slowly across the ocean floor like a ghostly figure. There are also basket stars, relatives of starfish, with arms that branch and curl into intricate patterns. They wave their delicate limbs in the cold currents, capturing passing food. In the stillness of the abyss, they look like underwater trees, frozen yet alive. And here, too, lie strange worms, crustaceans, and creatures we still do not have names for. The abyss is filled with secrets, waiting in silence. The most astonishing fact is that the zone may contain more species than we realize. Scientists estimate that millions of unknown organisms may live in these deep plains, hidden within the sediments, unseen by human eyes. The abyssal zone is not just a graveyard of falling matter. It is a world of resilience, of quiet survival, of life enduring in the most unlikely of places. The abyssal zone feels endless, stretching across more of our planet than any forest, desert, or plain on land. It is, in many ways, the Earth's great silent plain. Imagine drifting here, in total darkness. The seafloor beneath you stretches into distance, flat and quiet, yet marked by subtle shapes. Mountains rise from the abyss, part of vast mid-ocean ridges that encircle the Earth like hidden scars. Volcanic activity still occurs here, shaping the seafloor slowly, steadily, over millennia. Sediments settle like snow across these plains, layer upon layer, over millions of years. Within them lies the memory of Earth's history, tiny shells, dust from ancient continents, even microscopic traces of long-vanished creatures. The abyss is not just a place. It is an archive, a silent record of time itself. And while the abyss feels still, it is not lifeless. Currents whisper across the floor, slow, deep movements of water that circulate through the oceans, helping regulate Earth's climate. These currents are part of the Great Ocean Conveyor Belt, the vast system that moves heat and nutrients around the world. Even here, in the silent plains of the abyss, Earth's heartbeat can be felt. For humans, the abyss is nearly unreachable. Only a few robotic submersibles and rare manned dives have ever touched this part of the world. Each time, they reveal creatures stranger than we imagined, landscapes vaster than we believed, and mysteries that remain unsolved. To drift here, even in imagination, is to feel the weight of eternity. The abyssal zone reminds us that our planet holds hidden realms beyond our comprehension, and yet all of it is connected. Surface to abyss, light to dark, shallow to deep. And now, dear listener, as we leave behind the vast, cold plains of the abyss, we prepare to enter the deepest places of all, the hadal zone, where the trenches cut into the earth like hidden scars, and the ocean reaches its greatest depths. Beneath the vast plains of the abyss, the ocean floor is broken by scars, long, narrow valleys that plunge even deeper into the earth. These are the ocean trenches, and together they form the hadal zone, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. The hadal zone begins around 6,000 meters below the surface and stretches down to the very deepest point we know of, nearly 11,000 meters beneath the waves. That deepest point is found in the Mariana Trench, in a place called the Challenger Deep. If Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, were placed here upside down, its peak would still be over a kilometer beneath the surface of the sea. To imagine such depth is almost impossible. 11 kilometers of water above your head, crushing pressure thousands of times greater than the air around us. And yet life exists here. The trenches of the hadal zone are unlike any other place on Earth. They are cold, near freezing. They are silent, so far from the surface that even storms above cannot be felt. And they are dark, completely untouched by sunlight, forever wrapped in night. The pressure here is so extreme that metal structures would collapse. Yet creatures have adapted, their bodies soft, flexible, perfectly shaped for survival in this underworld of water. The trenches are hidden worlds, narrow yet unimaginably deep, where Earth itself bends and folds. They are created by the movement of tectonic plates, where one slides beneath another, pulling the seafloor downward into the Earth's mantle. This slow, grinding motion carves the deepest valleys known to humankind. To enter the hadal zone is to enter Earth's final frontier, a place so remote, so harsh, that even today, very few humans have ever seen it directly. For centuries, people believed no life could exist at such crushing depths. But modern exploration has revealed that the hadal zone is not barren. It is alive, in quiet, astonishing ways. Among the most iconic creatures here are the amphipods, small, shrimp-like crustaceans that thrive in vast numbers, feeding on the organic matter that drifts into the trenches. Despite the immense pressure, these fragile-looking creatures move with ease, perfectly suited for their world. Scientists have also discovered snailfish living in the trenches, at depths greater than 8,000 meters. Translucent and delicate, their bodies are the air-filled spaces that would collapse under pressure. Instead, they are soft, gelatinous, and perfectly adapted to endure the crushing weight of the ocean above them. Here, too, exist worms, sea cucumbers, and other small organisms that survive on a rain of marine snow, or on larger feasts such as whale falls. In the darkness, bacteria form the base of unique food webs, breaking down matter and sustaining creatures that seem too fragile for such a harsh world. And yet, there is a paradoxical beauty to the survival. Where we might imagine emptiness, there is persistence. Where we expect silence, there is a quiet rhythm of life continuing against every imaginable challenge. The hadal zone may be extreme, but it is not lifeless. Instead, it is a hidden realm of resilience, a reminder that life, in its endless creativity, finds a way to endure. Though we have begun to explore the trenches, they remain among the least known places on Earth. Less than a handful of people have ever visited them directly, in small submersibles built to withstand the incredible pressures. Most of what we know comes from robotic probes and deep-sea cameras, capturing glimpses of ghostly creatures drifting in the dark. Every descent into the hadal zone feels like entering another world. The silence, the darkness, the strange, fragile forms of life. It is a reminder that Earth holds places as alien as distant planets. Yet the hadal zone is not just a curiosity. It matters deeply. It is here that the Earth's crust bends and folds, recycling itself back into the mantle. The trenches are part of the great geological cycle that shapes continents, builds mountains, and drives earthquakes and volcanoes. The creatures here also help regulate our planet. By feeding on organic matter that falls into the trenches, they store carbon far away from the surface, locking it deep within the ocean for centuries. In this way, the hadal zone quietly influences the very air we breathe. There is something humbling about this. The deepest, darkest, most hidden parts of our world are still connected to the life above. The trenches may seem like places of isolation, yet they are part of Earth's great web, where every layer depends on the others. And as we drift upward in thought, preparing to leave these dark valleys, we carry with us a sense of awe. The hadal zone is not a place of despair. It is a place of resilience, of mystery, and of connection. From the surface of the trenches, the ocean is not just water. It is a living universe, reminding us that beauty exists even in the deepest shadows. And now, dear listener, we will continue our journey, moving from these crushing depths into another essential truth of the sea, the unimaginable pressure of the deep and how life endures it. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean, the waves brushing against your feet. Even here at the surface, the water has weight, gentle, almost unnoticeable. But as we descend meter by meter, the weight grows. At just 10 meters below the surface, the pressure has already doubled compared to what we feel in the air. At 100 meters, the pressure is 10 times greater, and by the time we reach the hadal trenches, more than 11,000 meters deep, the pressure is over 1,000 times stronger than the air pressing on us right now. To put this into perspective, imagine the weight of 50 jumbo jets balanced on your body. That is the crushing force of the water above. An unimaginable, silent pressure pressing in from every direction. This pressure is not just on the outside. It fills every space, every gap. Anything hollow, rigid, or unprepared would collapse instantly under the sheer weight. It is a world where only the most perfectly adaptive forms of life can exist. And yet they do. One of the most remarkable mysteries of the ocean is how fragile-looking creatures survive under such incredible pressure. Fish in the deep sea do not have gas-filled swim bladders, like many surface fish do. Instead, they are soft, flexible, often gelatinous. Their bodies yield to the pressure rather than resist it. Their cell membranes are strengthened by unique molecules that keep them stable, even when squeezed by thousands of atmospheres of force. Proteins in their bodies are specially adapted, preventing them from breaking down under stress. Some of these adaptations even come with fascinating side effects. For instance, the deep-sea snailfish, living in trenches thousands of meters down, cannot survive if brought to the surface. The lack of pressure causes their delicate tissues to fall apart. They are perfectly designed for their world, but only for that world. It is a quiet reminder that survival is not about strength alone. It is about harmony with the environment. And in the deep sea, harmony means softness, flexibility, and an ability to bend with the weight of the world. The pressure of the ocean is not just a physical fact. It is also a profound symbol. It teaches us about resilience, about adapting to forces larger than ourselves. In our lives, we, too, feel pressures, challenges, expectations, the weight of the world around us. And like the creatures of the deep, we often find that strength lies not in resisting, but in yielding, in softening, in bending, in adapting. The deep ocean shows us that even under crushing weight, life can flourish. That beauty can be found in the most unlikely places. That softness is not weakness, but wisdom. And as we rest here in thought, in the quiet of the ocean's embrace, we may feel lighter. For if life can thrive under the heaviest of pressures, then perhaps we, too, can find peace amidst our own. And now, dear listener, let's drift onward from the weight of the water to the creatures of the deep, glowing, shimmering, and surviving in ways that seem almost like dreams. At the surface of the ocean, sunlight sparkles across the waves. It nourishes plankton, which feeds small fish, which in turn sustain the larger creatures of the sea. But as we sink below 200 meters, sunlight fades and then disappears completely. In this darkness, the rules of life change. Without sunlight, plants cannot grow, photosynthesis cannot happen. So, how does life survive here? The answer lies in remarkable strategies. Some creatures drift downward, feeding on the gentle rain of organic matter. Tiny particles of dead plants and animals falling from above. Scientists call this the marine snow. And though it may seem small, it is the very foundation of deep-sea life. Every flake of this snow, drifting slowly through the blackness, is a gift of energy from the sunlit world above. But not all creatures wait passively for food to fall. Some hunt, prowling the dark waters with sharp teeth and glowing lures. Others rise toward the twilight zone at night, feeding near the surface, and then sinking back down by day to avoid predators. Even in this endless night, the ocean is alive with motion, a silent dance of survival, where every creature has its own role. And in the deep, survival is an art, a quiet mastery of patience, efficiency, and adaptation. In this world without sunlight, many creatures create their own. This is the magic of bioluminescence, the ability to glow in the dark. Tiny plankton sparkle like stars when disturbed. Jellyfish shimmer with soft, pulsing light. Anglerfish dangle glowing lures in front of their mouths, attracting prey that swim unsuspectingly toward their doom. The light is created by a chemical reaction deep within their bodies. Luciferin, a light-emitting compound, reacts with oxygen, producing a gentle glow. It is efficient, producing almost no heat, perfect for conserving energy in this cold, resource-scarce environment. But why glow at all? For some, it is to attract prey. For others, it is to confuse predators, flashing a sudden burst of light before vanishing into the dark. Some use it to communicate, sending signals to potential mates, or even to warn others away. Imagine drifting in the deepest black, and then, before your eyes, a soft light flickers, a living lantern in the abyss. These glows, these silent signals, turn the dark sea into something almost cosmic, like floating through a galaxy of living stars. The creatures of the deep often look strange, even alien, long needle-like teeth, translucent skin, enormous eyes, or sometimes no eyes at all. Every shape is a solution to survival in a place of extremes. Take the giant squid, elusive, mysterious, with eyes the size of dinner plates, perfect for detecting even the faintest glimmers of light. Or the gulper eel, with its enormous expandable mouth, able to swallow prey almost as large as itself. Or the vampire squid, not a vampire at all, but a gentle drifter that extends glowing arms, cloaking itself in a curtain of light. Some fish are almost entirely made of jelly-like tissue, helping them float without wasting energy. Others have bodies so fragile that if brought to the surface, they would simply collapse. They're designed not for our world, but for theirs, perfectly suited to the deep where they have lived for millions of years. And as strange as they seem to us, there is a quiet beauty in their forms. They are proof that life will find a way, no matter the conditions. That even in the most silent, darkest places, existence flourishes in extraordinary ways. Here, in the endless black, we find not emptiness, but a hidden world of brilliance. Creatures glowing softly, drifting gracefully, surviving with elegance and patience. And so, dear listener, we drift onward from a glow of living lanterns to the hidden worlds they create together. Next, we explore the mysterious ecosystems that thrive in the darkness of the deep. When most people imagine the deep ocean, they picture emptiness, a barren desert of water and rock. But the truth is far more extraordinary. Even here in the cold and crushing dark, life gathers into secret havens, places of abundance and wonder. One of the most breathtaking examples is the hydrothermal vent ecosystem. These vents are cracks in the Earth's crust, where superheated water gushes upward, enriched with minerals from beneath the seafloor. Though the water can reach temperatures of over 400 degrees Celsius, it does not boil, because the immense pressure of the deep keeps it liquid. At first glance, it seems impossible for anything to live here, and yet entire communities thrive around these vents. Towering chimneys of black smoke rise from the seafloor, formed by minerals crystallizing as the hot fluids meet cold seawater. Around them cluster giant tube worms, with bright red plumes reaching outward like soft feathers. There are crabs, clams, and strange white fish, all gathered in this unlikely oasis. How do they survive without sunlight? The answer lies in a process called chemosynthesis. Instead of plants using sunlight to create food, bacteria here use the chemicals in vent fluids, like hydrogen sulfide, as an energy source. These bacteria form the base of a new kind of food chain, a chemical garden blooming in the dark. The giant tube worms have no mouths, no stomachs. Instead, they host these bacteria inside their bodies, living in a perfect partnership. The bacteria create food, and in return, the worms provide them with shelter. It is a reminder, dear listener, that life is endlessly inventive, that even in places where sunlight never shines, new worlds can blossom. Not all mysterious ecosystems glow with heat and minerals. Some are cold, slow, and quietly rich. In certain places, methane and hydrogen sulfide seep gently from cracks in the seabed. These are known as cold seeps. Here, too, chemosynthetic bacteria thrive, forming mats across the seafloor. Clams bury themselves in the sediment, hosting bacteria inside their shells. Mussels grow in dense beds, sheltering countless tiny creatures between them. These seeps are like gentle meadows in the abyss, calm, patient, quietly sustaining life for centuries. And then there are the astonishing whale falls. When a great whale dies and sinks to the ocean floor, its body becomes a feast. First, scavengers arrive, sharks, hagfish, and crabs, tearing at the flesh. Then, smaller animals take over, feeding on the leftovers. Finally, bacteria consume the bones themselves, releasing nutrients that support yet more life. A single whale fall can sustain its own ecosystem for decades. A final gift from a giant of the surface world to the silent kingdom below. These places, vents, seeps, whale falls, remind us that even in darkness, abundance can exist, that the end of one life can spark the beginning of countless others. In these hidden ecosystems, survival is not only about competition. It is also about cooperation. Tiny shrimp cluster around vents, their backs glowing faintly from symbiotic bacteria that live inside them. Fish hover close to clams, sheltering in their shadows. Crabs pick gently at mussel beds, sharing space with creatures they do not harm. Some of the most extraordinary partnerships are invisible to the eye. Many deep-sea animals survive only because they carry chemosynthetic bacteria within them. Their lives are inseparable, their fates intertwined. Scientists are still discovering these relationships, and each new dive reveals something unexpected. A new species, a new adaptation, a new way of living in the dark. It is as though the deep is whispering its secrets, one at a time, to that patient enough to listen. And yet, we have explored only a tiny fraction of the ocean floor. Each vent field, each seep, each hidden grave of a whale is like a small island in a vast desert, a place of life, glowing faintly against the endless black. These ecosystems remind us that the deep ocean is not empty. It is alive, intricate, and profoundly connected. It is a reminder that even in the most unlikely places, life will gather, life will adapt, and life will thrive. And so, dear listener, we drift past the hidden oases of the deep, from fiery vents to gentle seeps, from the silent gift of whale bones to the patient dance of symbiosis. Now, our journey leads us further still, down to the vast and silent plains. The ocean floor, the very foundation of this underwater world. When you imagine the ocean floor, perhaps you see a flat, empty plain of sand. But the truth is far richer, more complex, and more dramatic. The seafloor is not merely a bottom. It is a world of mountains, valleys, ridges, and trenches. A landscape as varied and breathtaking as anything on land. The Earth's surface is divided into giant plates, floating on molten rock deep beneath. Where these plates move apart, they form vast ridges beneath the ocean. The most famous of these is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a mountain chain stretching from the Arctic almost to the southern oceans. It is the longest mountain range on Earth, mostly hidden beneath the waves. Here, new seafloor is born. Molten rock rises, cools, and solidifies, pushing the plates slowly apart. It is a reminder that the ocean floor is not fixed. It is alive, in motion, always changing. There are also vast flat expanses, called abyssal plains. They lie miles below the surface, stretching endlessly in all directions. Covered in fine sediment, these plains seem quiet, still, almost empty, and yet, even here, small creatures burrow, sift, and feed, turning the sediment into a living blanket. And then there are the trenches, great scars in the Earth's crust, where one plate slides beneath another. The Mariana Trench, the deepest of them all, plunges almost 11 kilometers below the surface. If Mount Everest were placed inside, its peak would still be nearly 2 kilometers beneath the water. The ocean floor, then, is not a flat boundary. It is a dynamic, restless stage, filled with peaks and valleys, birth and destruction, silence and storms of fire. As we drift across these plains and ridges, we find more than rocks and trenches. We find a record of Earth's history, written in layers of sediment. Every particle that falls from above, dust from deserts, ash from volcanoes, the tiny shells of plankton, settles slowly onto the seafloor. Over millions of years, these particles build thick blankets, recording the story of our planet. By studying deep-sea cores, scientists can uncover past climates, ancient extinctions, even the impact of asteroids. The ocean floor is like an enormous library, each layer a page, each grain a word, and we have only just begun to read its story. The seafloor also hides treasures. Manganese nodules, small, dark lumps scattered across abyssal plains, contain valuable metals like cobalt, nickel, and copper. They are resources that future generations may one day harvest, though at a cost of fragile ecosystems. There are also fossils buried deep, waiting patiently to be found. Remnants of creatures that lived long ago, their bones preserved in the silence of the abyss. Each discovery adds to the tapestry of Earth's history, reminding us how long the oceans have ruled our world. But perhaps the greatest secret of the seafloor is how little we truly know. We have mapped only a fraction of it in detail. Vast stretches remain uncharted, mysterious, hidden beneath miles of water. It is like looking at the night sky, full of unknowns, endless, waiting to be explored. Though it may seem barren, the ocean floor is alive. In the soft sediments of abyssal plains, tiny worms, sea cucumbers, and brittle stars sift and stir. Each grain of sand may hold a hidden world of microbes, breaking down organic matter, recycling nutrients, keeping the ocean alive. On ridges and mountains, corals grow in darkness, building slow, cold reefs. Unlike their sunlit cousins, these corals feed not on light, but on drifting food from above. Around them gather fish, crabs, and other creatures, finding shelter in their branching forms. Even trenches, though hostile, harbor life. Strange amphipods, small shrimp-like creatures, live in crushing pressures, feeding on scraps that sink from the world above. In some trenches, researchers have found gelatinous snailfish, translucent and fragile-looking, yet perfectly adapted to the hadal depths. Life here moves slowly. Creatures grow at a glacial pace, conserving energy in a place where food is scarce. A sea cucumber on the abyssal plain may live for centuries. A coral on a seamount may grow for thousands of years. Each life is a quiet, patient testament to survival and silence. As we drift across this hidden landscape, it feels almost timeless, a world that endures beneath us, steady, vast, and unyielding. The ocean floor is the foundation of life above, the keeper of Earth's history, and the stage upon which the drama of the deep unfolds. The ocean is not separate from us. It is the beating heart of Earth, the vast engine that regulates climate, weather, and the very air we breathe. Deep currents, set in motion by differences in temperature and salinity, flow like invisible rivers across the seafloor. They connect the world's oceans, moving heat and nutrients, balancing the planet. Without them, climates would shift drastically, and life as we know it would be transformed. The oceans also act as a great carbon sink. They absorb enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, helping to slow the warming of our atmosphere. Tiny plankton drifting at the surface, and microbes at the seafloor play their part in this balance. Even the silent abyss participates in keeping Earth habitable. So, when we look at the deep, dark places of the ocean, we are not gazing at some distant, irrelevant realm. We are looking at the foundation of our climate, our weather, our seasons, the breath of our planet itself. The deep sea is also a treasure chest of life. Each discovery brings new surprises. Strange creatures, glowing bacteria, ancient corals, delicate jellyfish. And many of these organisms may hold secrets that can benefit humanity. Deep-sea bacteria, for example, have given us enzymes that can withstand extreme temperatures and pressures. These enzymes are used in medicine, biotechnology, and even in crime detection. Some deep-sea sponges produce compounds that may one day fight cancer or infectious disease. Other creatures show us adaptations that could inspire new technologies, materials stronger, lighter, or more flexible than anything we can build today. By protecting the diversity of the deep, we protect the possibility of discoveries that could shape the future of science, medicine, and human well-being. But beyond climate and resources, there is something deeper. The deep ocean holds a mirror to our own place in the universe. When we peer into the abyss, we are reminded of how small we are and how vast, how mysterious. The natural world still remains. The ocean teaches us humility. It shows us that we do not yet know all the answers, that even on our own planet, there are places as unknown as distant galaxies. It also teaches us patience. Life in the deep grows slowly, endures quietly, and thrives under conditions we would consider impossible. In its silence, the abyss shows us resilience, persistence, and the beauty of adaptation. And finally, it teaches us wonder. To imagine that beneath the waves, in total darkness, life not only survives but flourishes. It is a reminder that existence itself is astonishing. Yet, with knowledge comes responsibility. Human activity now reaches even into the deep. Plastic waste has been found in the Mariana Trench. Chemical pollutants have been traced in the tissues of abyssal creatures. Fishing nets dragged across fragile seamounts, destroying corals that took thousands of years to grow. And soon, perhaps, deep-sea mining may begin, scraping the seafloor for minerals, disturbing ecosystems we scarcely understand. The question is not only what we can take from the ocean, but also what we must give in return. By caring for the deep, by protecting its silence and its life, we are also protecting ourselves. The ocean's health is our health. Its future is our future. So, dear listener, when you next hear the sound of the waves, or see the moonlight dancing across the sea's surface, remember the hidden worlds below. Remember the glowing creatures, the vast plains, the towering ridges, and the silent trenches. Remember the breath of the ocean, sustaining life above and below. And know that by cherishing it, you are part of something greater, part of the endless, mysterious, and beautiful story of our blue planet. And now, our journey has reached its end. We have drifted together from the surface to the very bottom of the sea, and along the way, we have seen the wonders of the deep. May these thoughts bring you calmness, a sense of connection, and a gentle reminder that even in darkness, there is beauty. Sleep well, my friend. Good night and goodbye.